myself. I see the edge, but I know below me your love is waiting to catch. I'm falling into you, 'cause no one's gonna love me like you do. Alright, I've got nothing to lose, so I can't stop, won't stop falling into you. The rush I felt in the free fall as I lost control of my life. Jesus, I found that you've always had me. Your love is never in doubt. I wanna love you like you love me. I wanna love you like you love me. I'm falling into you, 'cause no one's gonna love me like you do. Alright, I've got nothing to lose, so I can't stop, won't stop falling into you. Alright. I wanna love you like you love me. I wanna love you like you love me. I'm falling into you, 'cause no one's gonna love me like you do. Alright, I've got nothing to lose, so I can't stop, won't stop falling into you. Alright, oh, I'm falling into you. Falling into you, my God. I'm falling into you. I'm falling into you. I'm falling into you. I'm falling into you. There is a sound I love to hear. It's the sound of the Savior's robe as he walks into the room where people pray, where we hear praises, he hears faith. There is a sound I love to hear. It's the sound of the Savior's robe as he walks into the room where people pray, where we hear worship, he hears faith. Awake my soul and sing his praise aloud, sing his praise aloud. Oh, awake my soul and sing his praise aloud, sing his praise aloud. Changes things, the sound of his people on their knees. Oh, wake up, you slumbering, it's time to worship him. Awake my soul and sing his praise aloud, sing his praise aloud. Oh, wake my soul and sing his praise aloud, sing his praise aloud.
as always, it's been so great worshiping with you. It's crazy to think that it is already August. I've talked to some of you and you are getting ready for school and just the end of summer and what that looks like to either move to college or start school back. And I know that right now there is some disappointment, some maybe even anger, anxiety about what the school year looks like. A lot of you guys are going to be doing online only school this year. And so just know that we are praying for you. We are here for you. We love you. And so if you need anything, if there's any way that we can support you during this time, we would love to do that. We are going to jump right in. We are continuing in our series, Quarantine at the Movies, but just a quick note before I do, Evan has some awesome announcements for some upcoming events, some different things that we're going to be doing in the next couple weeks, really, starting this Sunday. So make sure to watch to the end of the video, catch those announcements, and we hope to see you there. We want to see you guys in person, not just over a phone or a screen or whatever. We want to be able to see you face to face. So we would love to see you at these events and hope you can make those. So make sure to stay and catch those dates and times and all that good info. But we are going to dive right in. Today we are talking about a movie that is near and dear to my heart. We are talking about Star Wars: The Last Jedi. And I realized as I was preparing for this message that I've kind of already talked about this movie a little bit. At the very beginning of the pandemic, I talked about porgs, and we actually talked from puffins to porgs because when they went to film this movie, there were puffins all over the island, and so they created these creatures that are one of my favorite creatures in any movie or anything. And I wanted to show you guys, I am in my office today, as you can see, and so almost all of my porgs that are in my collection, in my possession, are here. If you've been to my office, you know my shelf that is just full with all of my nerdy little things. And so I have porgs like this. I have 2 bobbleheads. And so I do have this little fella, and I actually have a whole new level. This is a Lego porg that my husband made me, and it is the best thing ever because it does this, and I just think it's so funny. But some of you guys may know I went on vacation this past week, and my obsession did not stop in Ohio. We went to Virginia, and we went into a local shop, and I found these little fellows. These are my new favorite magnets, and I found them at a little store, but I just had to show you how far my obsession really goes. So we are talking about The Last Jedi. We are not talking about porgs, but we are talking about Luke and Rey, because if you've seen these movies, you know probably the fact that I talked about disappointment that you guys are probably experiencing right now with school, and the fact that our summer is gone and we didn't get all of our experiences that we normally do with summer, as well as Luke and the disappointment he experiences in this movie. You can probably connect the dots. But if you haven't seen the movie right before this is called The Force Awakens, and it ends with this epic scene where Rey she's found Luke, she wants to train with him, she finds him, she goes to hand him his lightsaber. So she's holding it out, and there's this epic music, and it's like spinning cameras, and they're getting this full view, and it's this awesome moment. So that's where The Last Jedi picks up. It's this moment where Rey is holding it out, like, train me, I am ready, like, let's go. And if you've seen The Last Jedi, Luke takes it, and he goes, and like throws it behind him, and it's just gone. He's like, no. And she's like, what? And as the movie progresses, we realize that the Luke that we see here on this island, in seemingly the middle of nowhere, covered with these adorable creatures, is almost like an angry hermit. He is so much more pessimistic than the adventurous Luke that we've seen in all the previous movies. This kid from Tatooine, but he's pessimistic. He's become this angry, bitter person. And we find out that he has suffered immense disappointment. And he suffered disappointment not only in himself, but in his students. And we see that there's been a betrayal with one of his students. And if you haven't seen it, this is going to be a little bit of a spoiler, but obviously Ben Solo, who is Kylo Ren, has gone to the dark side. And Luke feels like he wasn't the teacher that he needed to be. He let them down. He is dealing with the betrayal of Ben, but he also blames himself for this failure. And he thinks that he can't live up to the Jedi Masters that people are putting him with, that he wants to be, the status that everyone held him to. And Ben has gone to the dark side. And so he's suffering this disappointment, and this disappointment has festered, and it's become shame and bitterness, and he eventually cuts himself off from everyone, not even just his friends, but his sister, Leah. He cuts himself off from the force, even. And I think us as Christians, this is something that we can understand. Because if you guys ever known someone or experienced this maybe, where you have felt disappointment, you have felt it so real in a way that made you cut yourself off from someone. And guys, this happens in the church too. People will cut themselves off from the church because the church is full of broken people. Full of broken people. And so it's not a surprise when people make mistakes. But people feel like when leadership in the church, someone in the church has disappointed them, or even they feel like they have disappointed the church, they'll cut themselves off. They isolate themselves because they might feel like it's easier to just cut that out than to deal with it, to address it. And they kind of end up like Luke, where they cut themselves off from not only their friends and family, right? Their church family, their church friends. But where Luke cut himself off from the force, people can cut themselves off from God. They can think, you know what? I'm out. I'm not doing this because I have this shame, this become bitterness, festering from a disappointment that's happened. Either disappointment in ourselves or how God didn't show up in a situation or how God's people didn't show up for us. We can have this bitterness. But just like Luke has this bitterness, this disappointment in his life, Ray comes in and she's disappointed. She came thinking she was going to be trained, she was going to be shown the way of the force, and she finds this angry hermit on an island. But she doesn't let her disappointment stick. She has hope, and so she wants to continue to learn from him. And he ends up doing that. He ends up connecting with her and training her. She has hope, and she doesn't take no for an answer. She sticks with it, she keeps the faith, and she ends up being trained. But I want to look at a story in the Bible where there's a disappointment that happens. There is shame that happens. And there's an opportunity, just like Luke, just like some of us have experienced, where they could have cut themselves off from God. But let's look at Luke 22, 55 through 62. This is the story of Peter. And so it says, after they had kindled a fire in the middle of the courtyard and had sat down together, Peter was sitting among them. And a servant girl, seeing him as he sat in the firelight and looking intently at him, said, "This man was with him too." But he denied it, saying, "Woman, I do not know him." A little later, another saw him and said, "You're one of those disciples. You're one of them too." But Peter said, "Man, I am not." About an hour had passed. Another man began to insist, saying, "Certainly this man was also with him, for he's a Galilean too." But Peter said, "Man, I do not know what you are talking about." Immediately while he was speaking, a rooster crowed. The Lord turned and looked at Peter. And Peter remembered the word of the Lord, how he had told him, "Before a rooster crows today, you will deny me 3 times." And Peter went out and wept bitterly. Guys, in this moment, Peter is so disappointed in himself. Jesus is disappointed in Peter. Because even though he knew it was coming, Peter denied it. He was like, "I will never do that to you, Jesus. I will never deny you. In your time of need, you're saying you're going to be crucified? There is no way. I'm going to be by your side the whole time. I will never abandon you." And then people go, "Hey, you're friends with Jesus. You're one of those disciples, aren't you?" And he goes, "No, woman, man, I don't know what you're talking about. That's not me." He denies it 3 times. And after, as he's still speaking, in the middle of denying Jesus, the rooster crows. And Jesus looks at him and Peter's just overwhelmed. Like, I just think of like when you jump into a pool and the water is just like on you, right? Like you are just like instantly, you just feel that water all over, right? Like you're just like submerged. I just picture that with Peter. He's just instantly submerged in this disappointment, this guilt, this shame. And he weeps because he knows he's disappointed Jesus. But what's cool is he doesn't do what Luke did. He doesn't run to some island. He doesn't isolate himself, becoming this angry, bitter hermit, saying like, oh, well, even though I was with Jesus this whole time, like, I'm out because of this mistake. Like, I am done. There's no way that I can continue. He doesn't do that. And so in John 21, we see this. It's in verses 15 through 17. It says, so when they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? And Peter said to him, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. And he said to him, tend my lambs. He said to him again, a second time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? And he said to him, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. And he said to him, shepherd my sheep. And he said to him a third time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? And Peter was grieved. He was upset because he said to him a third time, do you love me? And I've said this to the preteens a lot, but I feel like when someone asks you a question 3 times, they either didn't hear you or don't believe you. And he knows Jesus heard him because he responded. And so a third time he says, Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you. And Jesus said, tend my sheep. You see, after Jesus' resurrection, Peter, he was given a chance to restore himself. Jesus gave Peter that opportunity. The disciples had been out fishing and Jesus appeared to them on the shore, and Peter was so excited to see Jesus that he literally jumped out of the fishing boat into the water and swam to the shore because he was like, Jesus. I don't know about you, but if I had experienced that kind of shame and disappointment and I let that sit, I would be hiding on that boat. I would be hiding. I would feel guilty. I would feel shame. And so I would stay there. But Peter runs to Jesus, and Jesus gives him an opportunity to restore himself. He offers him forgiveness in the midst of this disappointment. So even like Luke was disappointed with Kylo Ren, but more disappointed with himself, Jesus is disappointed with Peter, but Peter is disappointed with himself. But he, unlike Luke, is like Rey, and he's like, I hope that I can have a second chance. I hope that I'll be given forgiveness, that I will be able to be restored. And he goes on to become one of these early church leaders. He fulfills Jesus' command to care for his sheep, the church, until he's put to death. He refused to deny Jesus. He experienced that disappointment, and he's like, never again, I'm out. I'm not doing that again. And so as we're in the middle of a pandemic, I know that there's disappointment happening. I know that we have experienced disappointment with canceled plans, canceled trips, canceled milestones, and now even possibly the somewhat cancellation of typical school. I know a lot of us were just excited to be able to be back in a building together where we can see each other face to face, where you can see your friends in the classroom. And now that's possibly not a reality. There's lots of disappointments. Some of you may be disappointed in how you have handled the pandemic. Maybe it's actions. Maybe it's just your general mindset. I don't know where all of you guys are at today. But I want you to know that no matter how disappointed you are in yourself, in others, there's an opportunity if we have faith, if we have that faith of forgiveness, there's an opportunity there for healing. Instead of bitterness, instead of shame, instead of guilt, instead of sitting in this disappointment, we can take a turn and be like Peter and just pursue restoration. Pursue this moment of forgiveness and turn away from bitterness. Because I don't know about you, but I don't want to live in bitterness. I don't want to live in shame and disappointment. I don't want to stay there. And so I want you guys, as you guys go to your small groups, think about disappointments. Think about these disappointments. Think about who you're disappointed with, why you're disappointed with them. But also think about the disappointments you have with yourself. Who might be disappointed with you that you need to talk to? especially if it's yourself. I want you to talk about these disappointments and talk about how faith, when we have hope, just like Ray had in this movie, how it can bring about change, even in the most bitter of situations, with an angry hermit like Luke. I want us to talk about how we can enter this season, even though it is filled with disappointment, with hope and with faith that God is in control, that he can bring about restoration, and he can start something new and amazing, even with the disappointment that we felt. Because even though God can do all things, right? We know that. We will still experience disappointment. We will still experience shame and guilt. And he's not going to just make that go away. But he can work through that. As long as we have faith in him and we keep hopeful that he will move in this situation, in these relationships, in these seasons. And so I just want to pray for you guys before you go to small groups, and just pray that this would be a time where we address these disappointments, where we are honest and vulnerable, but also hopeful, and that we encourage each other to stay faithful during this time as we continue in pandemic and quarantine times. Well, let me pray for you. God, we just love you so much. We just pray that you would be over our small groups tonight. God, I pray that you would just be throughout these conversations, just that you would show yourself, that you would show each of these students, each of these leaders, that these seasons of disappointment, these moments of disappointment, whether it's themselves and their previous mistakes with others and how they've hurt them, how they felt abandoned or just attacked. God, I just pray that you would be throughout all of these disappointments, all of these relationships, and that you would work, you would turn them into hope, so that we can keep the hope, that we are ready to share a reason for the hope that we have, that we would continue to be faithful in who you are, that it would bring about this lasting change, this incredible change, just like you did in the life of Peter. And just like if we're looking at the scene of Star Wars, just like the Force, Rey and Luke, how disappointment brings an end to things, but hope and faith brings continuation, brings new life. God, I just pray that you would help us to talk about these things and help us to identify the areas that you are bringing new life, even if it hasn't happened quite yet. But God, we just love you. We praise your name. Amen. Guys, it's been so great talking with you. I hope you have a great small group, but before we go, here's some announcements from Evan.
What's up, guys? Hey, Evan here. I'm so excited to be with you tonight. I hope you enjoyed Pastor Bailey's message. I hope that it touched your soul and reached to your heart, and just that it spoke to you. I have a few announcements for you tonight, and I'm super excited to share those things, with you. So the team has been working hard trying to find things to do for us together, and it's been really, really difficult, obviously, in the middle of this pandemic. It seems like we haven't seen each other in years, and it feels that way for me too. But this coming Sunday, we have a family picnic, and you're gonna go, you're gonna bring your own food. We're just gonna hang out, chill out outside. Hopefully it's nice. We're just gonna hang out with each other and hopefully enjoy the sunshine. It'll be after church this coming Sunday, August 9th. We'll have a family picnic. Bring your own food, bring your own chairs, and we'll just hang out together, eat food together. You know, maybe it's Chipotle, maybe it's Cane's, I don't know. Maybe bring your own sandwiches, PB&J, I don't know. Whatever you want to bring. Bring your family, bring your friends. That'll be this Sunday, like I said, August 9th. And then next Saturday, August 15th, we're having the amazing race. So it's not just your typical scavenger hunt. So how this is going to work is some of our leaders, some of our small group leaders, our staff, we're going to be spread out throughout the entire city of Grove City, maybe even the world, I don't know. So get your plane tickets ready, pack your bags. Just kidding, not sure yet actually, so maybe just in case. But we'll have clues, we'll have riddles that you'll have to solve that'll lead you to one spot, and you'll find one of us there, and that'll lead you to the next spot, and the first team to finish is our winner. We'll have some prizes. Not gonna say what they are just yet. Maybe a t-shirt, I don't know. Maybe some ice cream, I don't know either. We'll see. Just some hints, I don't know. We'll see. But that's next Saturday, August 15th, the amazing race happening here in Grove City. possibly throughout the world. I don't know. We'll see. And then August 19th, which is a Wednesday night, 2 weeks from tonight, we'll have Back to School Bash, which is super exciting. We'll be introducing our new freshmen as they come in and saying bye to our seniors as they go to college, and it's going to be awesome. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to send off our seniors. It's going to be outdoors, probably out by the volleyball courts. We'll have food trucks. We're having food trucks. It's going to be outdoors. Bring your friends, bring your families. We're going to bash. We're going to have a bash because it's back to school is kind of a thing, right? You're going back to classwork, I guess. But we're super excited about these things coming up. We're just excited that we have the chance to be together again, and that we'll have the chance just to see each other. And finally, with these new regulations and these laws, we'll have the chance to just to meet. And I think that's just more important than anything else right now. We miss you so much. But stay tuned for more information on these things coming up. Stay tuned for more information that I missed maybe, or that just isn't new yet. But we love you so much, and we miss you. We just can't wait to see you again this Sunday. Family picnic, August 9th, August 15th, Amazing Race, and August 19th, the Back to School Bash. Bring your friends and your families, bring your enemies. We would love anybody to be there that can. We love you so much. We can't wait to see you guys. We love you. Bye.